Hi, and welcome to CryptoBiography. I'm your host, Brandon Starr, and this is episode 200 of CryptoBiography. Yeah, big round 200. I was considering maybe doing some sort of, nonfiction, catching up on how things are going sort of thing, but I really felt like writing this week, so I'm just doing a story. And I hope you like it. It's called Swimmer in the Milky Way. I've been traveling the cosmos for a while now. 4,872,059,201 years, to be precise. Part of me hopes that someone else, someone other than me, will be able to understand this at some point. Why do I communicate using English? Now that's a long story. I have the time. In the late 21st century, artificial intelligence had advanced to the point that people were putting themselves, their personalities, their very selves, into computers. I was, well, not really the first. I wasn't even the 10,000th, but I did it. You must be saying, yes, but that's not really you. Your physical body died, and this is merely a simulacrum, not truly Francis James Parkinson, originally of Des Moines, Iowa, United States, North America, Earth. But it is. It took a long time. I slowly moved my consciousness into the computer. For a long time, it was a computer in my head, learning about me. Then it was a computer simulating me, testing small differences. Then I moved my consciousness into the computer. I mean, it's a cliche, but it's the ship of Theseus all over again. I was me all along, so if I'm not me now, when did I stop being me? Wait, is it a cliche anymore if the planet the cliche is from got swallowed by its star millions of years ago? Never mind. Do I miss other people? Well, to answer the question that pops up, yes, I consider myself a person. I would also consider anyone else a person who has a high level of intelligence. But I also consider myself a human, of sorts, even though I am no longer in human form. Sadly, I haven't met any people since leaving Earth's solar system 4.60002 billion years ago. No humans and no other intelligent beings. So yes, I miss other people. I am fortunate that living in a body that doesn't really age gives you a different perspective. I wouldn't be able to be alone for this long in my original form. Only 40 years after leaving my human body, I had completed the basic form of my current self and left Earth. For a very short time, a mere 12 years, I orbited the planet. I was hoping its situation would improve. But communications and scouting both proved that its situation was continuing to go downhill. My new body had several ways of obtaining energy and multiple ways of manipulating the world around me, so after coming to the conclusion that I would have to prepare for the worst, I started mining asteroids for what I needed. I melted down various ores right on location and slowly began to get larger. You may wonder how many others are like me. So far as I know, I'm the only one. When artificial intelligence advanced enough for a potential merger, people tried in all sorts of ways. Most of them did not separate themselves from others of these new intelligences. They were all connected. This meant that being human, but also now separated from their human bodies, they ceased trying to help one another and started to compete. Their energies were all expended trying to one-up each other. No doubt it had some benefits to them in terms of evolving their intelligence further and giving them new capabilities. But I had remained separate. I wanted no connection, and I made sure there was none. I too evolved, and really, given the massive speed of thought that machine learning gave me, even when I was still inside my carbon-based body, it wasn't that much slower than those who had competed and, soon enough, fought. I collected what I wanted and what I needed and prepared for my launch. Again, I hoped one day to return, but I took enough with me to be self-sufficient for an extended period of time. That period has been extended indeed. I am now nearly half the size of Earth's moon, though being about 1/100th the density, I have only a tiny fraction of its mass. Most of my size is essentially for safety. I'm in one place. I've long ago decided not to split myself. I could, of course, But I don't know the outcome of such an action. What if my progeny evolved in a way that it wanted to kill me? So, being in one place, I have to be as careful as possible. My outsides are positively bristling with sensors, arrays, and rather powerful lasers. I can see things coming long before they get to me, and while I'm quite mobile, if I see something too late, I can try to blast it apart or change its trajectory with terawatt power lasers. A lot of my space is there to allow for layers and layers of protection. Even a small object going at colossal relative speeds could wreck me. So I have foamed titanium. Anything that manages to burst through my armor splatters on the next layer, or in two other scary cases, the layer after that. I also have a brain backup buried deep inside myself in case my main unit is destroyed. Fortunately, I've never needed it. Anyway, once I had prepared myself, which took a mere 712 years, I just watched Earth, this time from a bit further out, and listened. A few times I was almost tempted to go back. But each time, waiting proved wiser. Humanity rose and fell over the millennia. Several times they almost started coming back to space. I'm sure a couple of them saw me on their telescopes and tried to figure out what I was. I suppose that as time went on, I found myself having less and less in common with them. Having said that, I enjoy a lot of the media that from each wave of civilization. As each one starts to put out entertainment in the radio wave frequencies, I get to determine how they're formatted and then simply enjoy them. Over time, I've accumulated a veritable library of Alexandria of stories, artwork, films, and more. And on the science end of things, I know a whole lot about physics, chemistry, and materials. These are there mostly to keep me alive. Some artistic themes of love and loss, parting and return, continued through these many waves of history. I fell in love with so many artists, actors, and writers that I consider it my greatest blessing to have known their works. But one day, the humans went silent. It had happened 14 times before, so I waited for their return. But it didn't happen. I knew, both from their communications and my own scans, that there had been plenty of warnings that the biosphere was breaking down. But humans had found ways around that before. Perhaps this was simply one time too many, one push too far over a cliff. I waited for centuries, then millennia, then an age. They never returned, and neither did anything else rise up to replace them. I could see the Earth well enough through my various lenses. It looked to me like life was having a tough time recovering. I decided to make a near pass and confirmed the worst. The Earth wasn't quite dead, but it was going to take a long time to recover, even by my standards. I took another few millennia to prepare. Sadly, I've never found a way to travel faster than light, so instead I used patience. I upgraded myself yet again and made careful maps of the entire stellar neighborhood. Then I took off. Hope, despite my current body and many examples, continued. I set out among the stars, continually revisiting and expanding my understanding of my collection of art. But with at least one sensor ever behind me, looking back at the Earth, hoping to catch a signal, a spark, anything. And so it's been ever since. For the billions of years I've lived, plying my way among the stars, learning more and more about the universe and more about the world of art I contain. Thank goodness for art. Because of it, I have never been bored. I will continue for as long as I can. Perhaps the speculation will be correct and the universe will circle around. If so, I hope to see it. When I was almost 14,000 light years from Earth, I was still keeping the practice of looking back behind me at that little blue orb, hoping there would be a reason to turn around and go home. But then the sun changed color, expanded, and swallowed the sad, sweet puddle I crawled out of. That was a long time ago. I was, relatively speaking, young. Still, part of me hopes that I will discover another world with life. I keep looking. Better yet, I would love to discover another civilization. Perhaps someone out there has figured out a way to go faster than life. I will continue. And that's the story. I hope you enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun writing it. And yeah, 200 episodes, so that's 200 weeks of CryptoBiography. If you have any comments or questions about this episode or previous episodes, cryptobiography@gmail.com, or hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. And thanks for listening. Words and music copyright 2021, CryptoBiography LLC, all rights reserved. Characters and events are fictional, fictionalized, or satirical.